welcome to Ships, the relationships show where we chronicle the difficult and hidden world of true to life relationships. Well, what's up, squad?
Hey, what's happening?
How y'all doing?
Excited.
All
Doing
right.
wonderful.
All right. Pastor Rick, how was your week?
Phenomenal. Had a wonderful week. Thank God that I'm here. So I'm excited about today's show. Let's go.
All right, Janine.
I'm good. I'm ready.
You ready? These hot topics. It's okay. And okay, Dr. Hosea.
Come on, I'm doing fabulous. Ready to help some folk in dire need of some help.
Some help. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know how I like my message in a bottle. Roll it.
Message in a bottle, baby. Yeah.
I still say you're gonna get that record contract. Okay, guys, I'm so excited. So, guys, again, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Send in your letters. We're getting so many wonderful letters so we can read them. We got some prizes and things that we're going to give away. Again, it's betterfliesentertainment@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on my personal email at zondraswilson@yahoo.com. So send your letters in. Okay, you ready for the first letter, squad?
Let's go.
Ready?
All right. This one is dealing with body image and weight gain. So we kind of all talked about that. So let's talk about it on this one. Dear Ship Squad, I remember the first time I watched Why Did I Get Married? I felt for Jill Scott's character and wondered why on earth she was with someone who treated her like that in the first place. Now I understand it all too well. A few years ago, I lost my mom suddenly. At that time, I was so grief-stricken that I dropped weight fairly quickly. I met my now boyfriend and thought he was sent by God to walk with me through this difficult time. Things were great, but as I continued to work through the grief, I turned to food for comfort. As a result, I gained a lot of weight. Now, Mr. Wonderful playfully calls me names, literally poking fun at me. He constantly scrutinizes what I eat and acts like I turn him off, and I've caught him looking at other women. I feel like things will go back to normal as soon as I drop the weight. What should I do? All right, Pastor Rick, I want to start with you on this one.
Without a doubt, of course, the weight of it. But I think the disrespect, that has to be addressed I believe in counseling, sitting down, let it be whoever, so they can come to neutral grounds with one another. You have a mediator between them where she can vent without repercussions and vice versa. So I think that's the wisest thing to do at this moment. And yeah, of course, the weight and so forth. And just FYI, fortunately and unfortunately, men are visual. This is what we see is what we how we feel or see attraction, for the lack of better words, if that makes sense. But I think without a doubt, sitting down, talking it through and working on it. And I'll say this last thing. If you feel that she's overweight, how about as a husband, you get something together with her. Don't bash her. You work through your thing, meaning working out, and invite her instead of bashing her, because positive reinforcement really does work. That's just, I have to really.
This is their boyfriend. They're not married. This is her boyfriend.
Well, she's her boyfriend.
This is her boyfriend, not her husband. So just same thing.
Yeah. Well, future husband. You got to do what you got to do.
I know how to lose. Look, I know how to drop 225 pounds overnight. Kick him to the curb. You want to lose weight? Got you. Deuces.
Here we
Be
go.
out.
That's
Be
funny.
Look, in all seriousness, I lost my mom about a decade ago now. And it was one of the most traumatic experiences. And even though we knew we were going to lose her, it wasn't sudden, it was Alzheimer's and dementia. It took me on easily a 5-year journey to work through that. I was functioning, but losing my best friend, my biggest cheerleader, thinking about all the things that she was not going to be here to walk me through, I ate through it. I blew up. I lost weight. I blew up. Thank God I had a partner, even though he's a man, he's visual, who loved me enough to walk with me through that. Right? And this all ties into when you're looking at someone as a potential mate, they say you need to look at who do you want holding your hand when you put your parent in the ground. Right? Yeah, men are visual, but there's some stuff that is so overwhelming. You need someone.
Come on, girl.
Stand in the gap for you, whether you are an 8 or a size 18, and say, I got you. Even through this season, I got you. And you know what? If you are not able to change your diet right now, just come out and walk with me. I'm concerned about your health. I want you to be okay. You need that kind of cheerleader. So if he's not that dude, you can lose weight, 225 pounds overnight. Nigga, bye.
That's hilarious. There's a few
Dr.
things.
Hosea.
About 3 things I'm seeing here. First and foremost, oftentimes people get sucked into a situation when they meet someone in an incredibly needy moment in their lives, especially if it's not the right someone. You know, sometimes you're fortunate to meet that person, but unfortunately, more than not, you meet someone who's a convenient distraction. And what tends to happen, it sounds like she met this guy, she was feeling so down, just something new, fresh, gave her different focus to her energy and her thoughts, and became overwhelmed. And he seems like the best thing since sliced bread because of how he made you feel in that moment, especially at the honeymoon stage. And during that time, you had already lost a lot of weight from the stress, and he became the drug that stabilized you. But like any honeymoon stage, any high, because that's what it is when you're in that euphoric place in a new relationship, it's literally a high, the dopamine and everything. But like any high, eventually you come down.
Yes.
And when she came down, and now the relationship just becomes another part of her daily life, it's not filling that same void that was quenching her thirst in her moment of grief. So she goes back to a different drug, which became food. Now, the problem with this situation, it sounds like this guy doesn't know that. He doesn't know the relationship you had with food when you met him, because he didn't meet you there.
Right.
So if he chose you, if a lot of his decision was based on your figure, he don't know this figure is not your figure. This is Greece's figure. So now he's making a decision based on inaccurate information. And maybe she didn't have that conversation. You know, I've really lost a lot of weight since my mom died, and blase, 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 blase. So this was a situation that variables were inevitable to change.
Right.
And if you're not aware of these things and allowing your relationship to be deeper than surface,
please,
then after a while it's going to fall apart. And if that's the case, and if he's really like, you know, I really like you and I dig you, but I can't work with you through this, then you do need to drop him. But if he sees your value, well, maybe he's making pop shots, thinking it's funny, but you're really sensitive to that, and he's not understanding that he's hurting your feelings. Because maybe it's where, you know, okay, I like, but that's not a deal breaker for me. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of funny, and it's something I can joke on, and he's being playful about it. Then she has the responsibility to have a real conversation with him. See what he said. Because sometimes people assume you know what you're doing to them without really accurately communicating that.
Expectations. Yes. That's
make
so
sure
good.
that's not the deal. And based on that accurate information from that, you make a decision, because maybe you do need to lose that weight, Janine is talking about, or maybe he can help you lose that weight you talking about.
225 right off the top. 225.
Gone. Janine and I are right there when it comes to losing our parents. And then my dad now, of course, is suffering from the dementia disease that her mom succumbed to. But going back to what you guys mentioned about grief, sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So I had a friend, this was a girlfriend that I had that met me at the grief stage, Janine, when my mom, actually, when I met her, my mom died maybe 5 months later. Okay. So before my mom died, I was in a state of grief just because of some things that was happening in my life, right? Just life, right? So I was at a very, y'all know me as a talker. So I wasn't talking much. I was just very low and down. But she didn't know this Zondra, you know, when Zondra gets strong. So when we went through that phase or whatever, so when I got my strength back, and then it was like, who are you? She didn't like Zondra. You know, that's just the honest thing. She liked it. So what I did, Pastor, I did go to her and I did say, you know, this is what was going on at this time. And she was just like, well, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. But I'm like, I don't need, because you know how some people give you stuff that you don't need. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need, I'm not the type where you come on, Zondra, or Kimmy. I'm not. And I think that throws a lot of people off. When you do that, sometimes I may gravitate towards that, but more times than not, I don't. Now, maybe that's something my therapist have to help me work through. But it just, it just being honest, I just tend to cringe. So she was trying to do that. So I was like, no, you know, you don't have to do that. You don't have to ask me every 5 minutes how I'm doing. You know, and she was just offended. You know, so I love what you guys said. We have to, is these expectations. And guys, we're going to do a show on these expectations. As many shows as we can on expectations. Please. Because we expect, because you're a woman, that you're going to act like this. And I expect because you're a man, you're going to act a certain way, right? If he's a man, if he hears a bump in the night, he's going to automatically get up and go outside. That's not the case. some of these guys like, babe, I hear something. I'm serious.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They are. They will send your behind out there. Oh my God. It goes back to
men, y'all know.
Right. Who y'all think?
A lot of guys are not being honest with y'all. It's a lot of men.
They really are.
That. They're not. Yeah, they are scary. I'm telling you, I grew up in the hood. When it comes down to some real,
it's one thing for them to be scary. Right. It's another thing to send you. Like those are two different levels.
You might
maybe if y'all scary, you can call 911 together.
No, a lot of these guys.
We're here.
Yes, they are. Yes. If it's a situation, real quick, we're gonna go to the second letter. I'm telling you, a situation where this guy was taking this girl out. They were in a bar. The girl, I think, may have inadvertently knocked over a drink. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but the guy's drink she knocked over was like, "I beat you," and the guy that took her on the date was standing right there. He's seeing it all. So the guy was literally about to beat the chick up. Never stepped in, never said a word, never came. And so when she went back over there to her, sat down, he was like, "So okay, so what's going? Like, ain't nothing happened."
Real talk.
Tell me that was their last date, at least.
Yes. Then he had another call. He would have known, I would have blocked him. But that's
Check this out. Check this out. I came home one evening. There was a bat on my door, like this. Just on my door. Okay. And I'm like, okay, so he lives here now. I don't. And I went through some things, but like, I need to figure out how to get him off my door. I went to my male neighbor's house, knocked on the door. Hey, can you help me? It's a bat on my door. Can I borrow your broom? He was like, oh, sorry. And closed the door.
Borrow the broom?
He didn't have a broom. He didn't have anything, and nor did he help.
That's the truth, y'all. That's more often than...
Maybe his wife wouldn't let him.
He's single, and I know why.
So now you see why I be like, y'all, you don't want to call him the P word. Like, Pastor, when you give us that advice, like how you talking about pump him up and make him feel like a man. We're going to get a whole lot of people responding to this.
Wait a minute. Before we go on to the next letter, I got another one. Years ago, when I was riding, I think it was the 310, it would go up Crenshaw, right? Coming from my job, got off like 9 o'clock at night, so it's dark, going south on Crenshaw. It was all men and me on the bus, and a male bus driver. There was a drunk on the bus, and you learn, is this the drunk that you have to ignore, or is this the one you have to talk to? Because there's two different kinds. And you need to know. If you ignore the one that you need to talk to, it's going to be lit, right? So I'm like, oh, this is one I have to talk to. So I'm talking to him. Everything is good. And then it goes south when he said he proposed to me. And I was like, drunk or not, I can't say yes to, right? He gets upset, grabs me. Not nary a brother on the bus said anything, stepped up, nothing. I got off the bus and I ran home crying, scared to death. And I was so hurt, not that the brother grabbed me, because
no one helped,
but all those black men on the bus, including the bus driver, did not have my back. And I said, how did we get to this point where y'all don't have my back? I could just cry thinking about it. And I was like in my 20s. How?
And Janine, to be clear, you were
that's the truth.
Black female with all black people on the bus.
310 on Crenshaw. Who else?
Yeah, I've been through that. Yes. I'm just ready to fight most of the time, but she's telling the truth.
That's a whole nother show on.
Oh yeah, that's another show, y'all coming this way.
Black women still being respected.
Janine, the same thing. I didn't know that.
Honestly,
I didn't know that.
I'm shocked.
It ain't often that I'm speechless, man. But
yo.
All I can say to you is I'm sorry.
That hurt me.
Like I apologize.
For all the sorry man.
For real. No, for real. For real.
She's telling the truth.
Because that's sorry. That's beyond sorry. That's sad.
That hurt me.
And you know what it shows me? I'm gonna go deeper. This is not an excuse. I'm not giving an excuse or a justification, but I gotta find some explanation.
Right.
It shows me it's that many young black, but well, not even young. It's that many black brothers that ain't never seen what covering looks like. To where you don't have the natural instinct in you to cover a young black queen. Like it's not a natural. That means none of y'all never saw a man cover his
pastor. That's a story. I mean, that's a show.
That's a show.
That's one of the things with our generation, with my dad. I realized with a couple people, they didn't have a father. Like my father may have been a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot. Wasn't the best dad, but when it came to protection,
right. That's just old school.
He was, and even when I was growing up,
you didn't even have to be saved to understand that.
Yes, and my dad is the littlest, the scrawniest, but whatever. But even if he didn't have a whatever, his whole thing is protection. He was going to protect. And going back, and then we're going to need to go to our next letter. When I was a kid, I remember this. Some boy was I would come from these John Adams, which is the high school. I was coming from elementary school. This one of the kids was messing with me. The kids from John Adams, they didn't know. They was like, boy, get off of her. It was automatically when they would step in. You don't hit a girl.
Right.
They ain't know that I was
partying
it. They ain't know I was
value.
But the point is that they jumped in and they stopped it. Now, the brothers, I do know with domestic, where a lot of women, where if you jump in, they're going to jump on you. So if let's say me and this guy, now that's fact. That's from the place. I get that. And you end up getting hurt, Pastor. Yes, so let's just say if I'm fighting with my husband.
Yeah, but this situation Janine had, they knew she wasn't with him.
Yeah.
I agree.
See, even people, because sometimes I've had, since I've been here in LA, people find out I got guns, whatever. You a pastor. I grew up, my daddy wasn't no thug. My daddy wasn't no thug, gangbanger, this and that. He was a hard-working man. My daddy wasn't even much of a hunter, like to go out and hunt all
Right.
year. But he always had guns in the house.
So my house too.
And it
My
was
house.
for
Everybody-
protecting his family.
Yeah.
So I grew up like, so that it was just instinctive.
Right.
Anyway, like, and I know some of these people, I'm not getting into no debate, anti-gun, whatever. I'm just talking about from what we're talking about, just from the mentality of it being my responsibility to protect my family. And anytime you even get beyond my biological family, it don't turn off the instinct of protector.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, guys.
We're gonna have to do a show on this because look at the bridge. How do I then submit to you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When categorically you don't have
I gotta fight for you.
Wow.
Right.
I know this ain't what this show is about, but Janine, you just stirred up something.
It is now.
You just stirred up something. Now I see why the good girl is attracted to the bad boy. Because at least I believe he man enough to stick up for me if I'm attacked.
That part.
You're talking to me. That's why I told y'all before. I said that's why certain men. I'm not
It's
attacked.
just
It's not their
layers,
fault.
right?
It's instinctively. If he's a certain type, like the softer, I'm like, can he protect? And I had a guy say, Zondra, do you really think that I would? I'm like saying to myself, yeah. And it was strictly because, but it was unfair because it was strictly because of how he carried himself. I learned through another friend that ain't always the case. So that was my misunderstanding, but I felt like you had to have a certain type of persona, this certain alpha male type of persona, which is what I was raised with, that I knew was going to protect me. My brother, I have a beta, I don't even want to say that brother, who was not a protector, who would allow his sister to get whooped up. My oldest brother shooting up the whole neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So,
everybody got to die.
Brother, everybody. So I know that it's instinctively, I don't know what that is, and it's fear or whatever. But so anyway, my point is that is why, Pastor. How do I lay with you as my husband and you? And then we sitting up in your office. Ain't nothing you gonna be able to tell me.
Well, I think in overall that's one of the key things that really draw a woman to a man. I mean, provider, protector, priest, whatever you want to call it. That is something that's instinct. It's a natural attraction to that.
Right.
Usually only comes when you have a father who has exempt that before you. If they don't have that map, they don't have that radar.
Man, is that the truth?
Or at least a father figure.
At least
sometimes it can be a grandfather, an uncle, a coach, somebody to fill that role. Because here's the word that summarizes everything that you said, Rick, as provider, protector, godly man, leadership.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Leader.
Yep.
Yeah. So when that is not in place,
when
I've had the experiences that I've had and I've been let down, I can close my eyes and I'm back on that bus.
Yeah.
20 some years ago.
Crazy,
How then when I'm approaching a relationship and I have all that baggage by default, right? How do I get to the point when it's time to be transparent and vulnerable that I'm willing to put down all I've had to carry to survive because you don't have my back?
That is so true. That is the truth,
back.
girl.
So why should I believe that you do?
Yeah.
That's go ahead.
I'm
gonna let you.
I just laid my great aunt to rest. Excuse me, my aunt to rest. 96 years old.
Wow.
And talking to her over the years, what you said, Janine, she carried the baggage. She carried a lot of weight and things that she'd been through, rape, molestation. My aunt became a doctor, came from nothing from Cuba. I mean, it's done tremendous things for the community. And one of the hardest things that she had to go through is being vulnerable. Being vulnerable.
Hello.
Being vulnerable to someone who she felt had her back. She's been in domestic violence over, married with the third marriage because she didn't trust her former partners. So that's the key thing. And you hit on the nose. How can I unload and trust you?
That's been the whole.
That's a hard thing. Yeah.
That's my whole problem.
And that's where you have to put that dependency on the man while you're dating, collecting data.
There you go.
To be that point. I'm not saying you stage some situation, but I'm saying that you can tell by simple things how he looks out for you. Watch this. Watch this. When you're walking down the street,
are you on the outside?
Which side of the street are you on?
He may not know that, Pastor. He don't know.
This is what we're talking about.
Right.
Because you don't want to date nobody that don't know none of this, right? I'm sure at your stage, he need to know. You ain't got time to start.
Look, when we first started hanging out, Gary had to move me to the right side because I had no reference point. And Gary was like,
"That's good. That's good."
Doing?
Team Gary over here. Right. Team Gary.
You gotta, and still to this day, because I was alone for a long time, and then all the baggage, I was in survival mode. I was functioning, but I can't tell you how many times that men have not held the door, and not just, I have boxes and bags, right? I'm working on a production shoot. I am carrying literally the world, and men, all races, didn't hold the door.
See, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. This is how you collecting data. When you say, how can you know if it's safe to let down your baggage? You check stuff like that. When you're walking through a big crowd of people, does he kind of leave you to fend for yourself, or is he carefully monitoring you through the crowd to make sure you say, it's in the little things, because the person that shows you that in the little things, he sure enough go rise to the occasion in the big thing. Absolutely. But if he's not big, he that's faithful over a few.
Yes, sir.
Will be ruler over much. If he's not protective over the small, it looks like a bump in the night. Is he trying to send you downstairs? Is he trying to see what's going on? Is he saying, wait a minute, baby, let me check it out? Like you can notice. Yeah. But this the type of stuff, oftentimes when people dating, they ain't paying no attention to that.
They don't.
Even in the animal kingdom, I mean, you look.
That is so true.
Right. Come on.
The lions and the lion. Come on, Rick. Come on.
The eagle herself will fly a distance high in a distance with a piece of, let's say, not even a twig, just a good branch. She would drop it for the male eagle to go down and pick it up. The metaphor is that, can you handle my weight?
Right.
My weight.
Come on, man.
Together, because that's the key that a lot of young men, and I'll say this boldly, not just black men, in general, the culture.
That's true.
They don't carry that. They don't know how to carry her weight and your weight, because when you become a husband, sir,
Leroy, come here. Come listen to these two passes over here.
And say it a little louder for the people in the cheap seats.
When you become a husband, it's a lot of responsibility that you have to take on your shoulders. Someone said that your shoulder, pretty much a man's shoulders are built wider because a woman obviously has hips. That's why a man has shoulders.
Come on, boy.
Period. So I stress, and I tell a lot of young men that when you're about to get married, it is a notion. It is no joke. You go into it knowing, know your role. Know know your creation role.
Come on.
We need to bring these guys on here. Somebody's going to be honest.
We need a boot camp. We need a retreat where we can walk folks through just some life stuff.
Yeah, Pastor Zane and I got the tools. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to catch the baton right where Rick left off at.
Go ahead, sir.
Look what he gave you as the qualifications of a husband. Husbands.
Yeah.
Love your wife.
Yes, sir.
As Christ loved the church. Now, for me to do that, I got to know how Christ loved the church. That's why he told you.
Gave his life.
He gave himself.
Yes, sir.
For her.
Yep.
He sacrificed his safety for her safety.
Yeah.
He sacrificed his life so she could have one. Like I'm saying, let me speak to the women. If you would just look at God's qualification,
yes, sir.
you'll quit making bad decisions.
Yes, sir. Yes,
He
sir.
gave you qualification.
Yes.
He said that he sanctified it. What do sanctify mean? Set apart.
Yeah.
Are you set apart? Are you just another chick to him? Like he gave it to you, set apart and cleansed her.
Yeah.
Come
and
on.
sanctify, cleansed her, washing her with the washing of water by the word.
Yeah.
What kind of words are you getting? And is he feeding you God's words?
Yes.
Or just street words? So, do these words clean you off when you're a little dusty?
Come on.
Off some of the insecurities? Or do it leave you with the same amount of baggage you came with? Like God gave what you should know. See, people think God gave them who to marry. No, God showed you what to marry.
Come on.
He didn't limit it to one body. He gave the qualification. When people, God told me that's my husband. No, God told me this is how you can recognize your husband. These are the characteristics you come with.
Yes, sir.
Woo, that's good.
Yes, sir.
That sounds so pretty, Dr. Hosea Collins. That was so pretty. That was so.
But
so
it's
pretty.
true. It's true.
I know it is, but
You
where
know what?
I'm the single one out here dating. I'm telling you, unless they just not approaching me, they just don't come like that. It's rare.
Right. You know, sometimes listening to Pastor Dr. Hosea and Pastor Rick, it's bittersweet. Because I'm like, well, here's two of y'all that got sense and understand it.
You know what it is, Janine? You know what
Y'all
it is?
got y'all job cut.
Back me up. And I'm going to say it real quick. I'll let you finish. I think this is what it is. We are romantic men.
Yes.
We love this. We love to ooh and ah and woo you. And I think that's what it is. Am I wrong, Pastor Hosea?
No. And here's where it comes from. Because this is where I'm going to be honest.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I haven't always been a romantic man.
Yes, sir.
I'm probably more of that now, if I'm comparatively speaking, than I've ever been before, because unfortunately, I've suffered the experience of losing one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the way I cherish, it's on a level of knowing what it's like to have
lose
loved
and lost.
to have lost, and not just lost, had God taken away. Because that ain't no you know, you can break up. This you might hold on to hope of getting back together. Ain't no do-overs when God ends something.
Yeah.
So God give me your second chance of love. I have the advantage point of everything I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yes, sir.
No moment taken for granted.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
It's an advantage, of course, to my wife, but it cost me more than I wanted to pay.
Yeah.
That lesson cost me. But now, and to Rick's point, I look back and yes, because the romance that we get is part of the pleasure. What scripture, man? God gave me scripture in Ecclesiastes when he talked about loving your spouse, you know, eating, drinking, loving your spouse. He says, which is your portion in life.
Yes, it is.
He said, that's my portion.
That's your portion, sir.
So it don't mean nothing to get all of this, and I don't just take advantage of this companionship of oneness.
Yeah.
And letting it be everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And there are times, Pastor, I know we're going to finish.
This is so good.
What
it
is as men, if we're not careful with our words, the scripture says to drink from your own well.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing to have a bitter well that you're drinking from. Sir, because your mouth, you calling her fat.
Come on.
You're not speaking life. I had to learn that.
Yeah.
Because what I want to say, I can't say.
Come on, Rick.
As a prophet, when you speak things over your wife,
come on,
you're washing her with the word.
Yes, you are. Come on.
So whatever you say
Come on.
I promise you, it's going to come back on you. Your prayers are hindered. Everything's messed up. You don't know why things are not going right in your life. I promise you, young man, fix it. Shut up. Just shut up and fix it.
Rick, just hand it to me. Hand me the baton. Let me figure it out.
This is so good.
Right what Rick just said.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Rick just said. He said, cleanse her with the washing of water by the word. Watch this.
Yes, sir.
That he might present it to himself.
Yes, sir.
A glorious church.
Woo!
See, God had an ulterior motive with how he loved us.
Yes, sir.
He said, I sacrificed for you. I gave my life for you.
Yes.
I cleansed you with the washing of water by my word. I sanctified you. I set you apart. Why did I do all of that? I was selfish, so I can present you
to myself.
To myself as a church without spot, blemish, or wrinkle. I wanted what I was marrying to be good.
Yes.
So I invested all of that. So now, when a man, to Rick's point, when you can't stand the woman you met 10 years ago, you loved her 10 years ago, now you can't stand her 10 years later, you did a piss poor job that she was in your hand. That's what you're presenting yourself.
It's your fault.
Pass me the baton. Pastor, oh my God, you guys, I'm about to jump out of this seat. Woo! One of the things the old saints would used to say is that your name meant everything. So let's just say if you're, Arce, if you're going out there representing Arce, like the house, like if they come into a house, ladies, and your house is nasty, it says a whole lot about you, and how you, your children, all that, it reflects on that husband, so by default, whether you like it or not. And a lot of us ladies, we got to work on. So what Pastor said, which is the truth, one of the things I'll never forget, Stancy would tell me, she said, back in the day, our name, you went out, and if you were, like if I'm Herbert Wilson's daughter, if you Herbert, like you had to be present.
Yeah.
Certain things you just couldn't do.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't call it whatever you want. It was a representation. And this is the funny part, it had nothing to even do with the Christ or the church. They were practicing it, but not necessarily attributing it to the church. Right. So we grew up.
You're right, Zondra.
We grew up, and it was certain things because I was Herbert Wilson's daughter or my mom. You may have done some things, but out in public, like, no, we don't do that. Like, that's why I get that. Like, we don't do that.
Watch this, Zondra. My greatest regret as a son is the way I misrepresented my family's name in my foolishness. Like that was my greatest regret. And I think from that day, all them 20 plus years ago, 30 years ago to now, I still seek to restore restitution and do that name justice for how I blemished it in my deceitful years of foolishness. Because I know they didn't raise me like this. I know the God they trained me up to learn what I know. And I'm not, of course, like any parents, nobody's perfect. But the roots that I received, some of the fruit that I yielded was not a good reflection of my root. And I think I used to try to stay away because deep inside, I carried a level of embarrassment of what my lifestyle decisions were doing to a name that my grandmother, my grandfather, my parents, those before me did so well to make that name respected that I allow my foolishness to put blemishes on it. And here's why, and because I know some women have a problem with what I'm finna say, but I'm in the Bible. God told us in 1 Peter, 2 Peter, one of those two, how you can learn from Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
How she served Abraham, watch this, calling him Lord.
Say that. You preaching.
Now, the word, you crazy. The word Lord means owner. Now, let me give the positive on that.
Right.
She acknowledged, I'm yours. I'm bearing your name. Watch what this does, biblically speaking.
Yeah.
For a man that understands it. I'm bearing your name. I'm yours. So whatever I am, that's to your advantage. That's to your privilege.
Yeah.
That's to your honor.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I'm not,
Yeah.
that's on you too.
That's on you too.
You're responsible. I'm here.
I didn't know that.
But if I look bad,
You look.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And we were doing, like I said, I didn't grow up in a quote unquote Christian home. Certain things was just carry over as to how we were, the protection thing, the provider thing. And like you said, the representation. It's just like you couldn't do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, women, if you got us, we're naturally going to reciprocate. Typically, now some of the new school women don't necessarily do that, but typically, if I know, I'll just say old school. If they know that you got them, they got to reciprocate and give you. But the thing now, guys are like, what you got for me, or what you gonna do for me?
Yep.
It's all about like, I'm not spending all this money. I'm not getting nothing from it. So it's all about, it's no courtship anymore. It's about what you, and I get it, but it goes back to who they're choosing. Janine and I talk about this.
And look, not just who they're choosing, but what was modeled before them.
Right.
We have all these people running around here looking for love, and they have no reference point about what healthy love looks like, healthy courting, boundaries, men's roles and women's roles. And I'm not getting into feminist whatever and none of that stuff.
Right.
We're designed differently. Because we have clear-cut roles, and some of those things fall into a gray area, like who's cooking dinner. Whatever. I'm not talking about that.
I got you.
We don't even know what our roles are.
Yeah.
Right. And we see the world's definition of some of that, and it's so perverted that who wants to do that?
Yep. The feminist movement has really,
and I'm not knocking feminism at all.
Oh, me?
That is not what I'm saying. Go ahead, Pastor Rick. I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is we don't have clear, healthy definitions of what our roles are. As a single woman, as a single man, as a man and woman dating, and then married. We don't have role models to look to. We can all look at our families, and I think, for a lot of us, it was our parents or grandparents' generation, the last generations that actually got married and then had kids.
If I may say, Janine,
that's good.
Good. Within the Black culture specifically, Black women unfortunately took up a mantle that wasn't designed for them. Feminism came because they needed some bodies, more women. So unfortunately, the Caucasian woman went to the Black woman and say, "Hey, be a part of us." Because you need to be treated right, A, B, and C. But they're still under their slavery, real crazy. So Black people thought that they were going to have a leg up. Unfortunately, they were used. And listen, that's where, and I believe this wholeheartedly, that you saw the demise of the Black family start falling apart right there. People like to argue, no, it's not true. Go look at your history.
And let's add into that the institutions that rewarded the single.
That's what Clinton.
Black mother in particular. You got more money to take care of your kids if there's another man, in the house. So you add all of that. Look, if we had understood where we were on the food chain, then we could have looked at the feminist movement and been like, that's for y'all. I'm technically not under anybody, and I'm under everybody.
Yeah,
scenario.
right.
Right. And look, you have removed the black man. He's not even here.
Yeah.
How
Right.
can I be under somebody that's not here?
Right.
Can I try to be
That-
liberated and get my freedom and my rights
Totally.
from somebody that you have removed from my
Totally.
scenario? This is not my movement. Now, there, you
Right.
know, I want the right to vote, and you know, if we do the same work, we should get the same pay. There's
Right.
some of those things that ring true for me, but this
Now,
right
now,
here,
full circle,
I don't
full
even do
circle,
That
that.
is so true.
full circle, full circle. Because you're on the bus, you're being mistreated by one black man. The other black men are not protecting you because the demise, listen, of the visual of the black woman within society. So black men are not going to protect you no more because it's not that the black woman is obsolete. They've never been held at the same level, in my opinion, as every other race of women in the United States. That's just my
That's
little
true.
humble opinion.
But you know what, guys, too, with one of the things we've had this conversation before, how are the young men to know if they're being raised by mom, this mother figure? He's and we can tell as well, as especially with me being raised by a father, when a guy has been raised by a mother or a woman, or have a, I should say, or more of a feminine woman influence because of how he reacts to stuff. They're more emotional when it comes to certain things. So, but how is he supposed to know? Like, he's growing up with his mother, and the mother downing on the dad, and the dad don't want
Can I
anything
go back
to
to
do
the
with him.
animal kingdom real quick? Because it'll tie in. All right. Years ago, there was a particular story that came out that there was a young elephant or a bull, and he was running rampant. He was killing all of the rhinos.
Yes, that
I
is
remember
my,
that.
I would say that's
I
my
remember
favorite
that.
story, right?
Destroying
Go ahead,
all
I remember that.
every animal he came in
I
contact
remember
with
that.
because he was angry.
He was raping rhinoceros.
He was. I mean,
Yes.
he was going through them.
Yeah.
So he
I
sits
remember
there,
that, Rick.
He sits there. Really uncontrollable. So one of the zookeepers, for lack of better words, got an idea. Says, "Okay, let's bring in a male elephant, older." Brought him in, and they sat him next to him. So he tried to buck up the young bull.
Yes.
Of course, you know, the male, the older male, pretty much put him in check. He started submitting himself. He started watching.
Right.
He started seeing how he pretty much handled things. When something came up on him, he didn't react all the time. And so that temperament was passed down to this young bull. And that was, and my point is, if we take that from the kingdom of the how much more do we pretty much as mentors, Pastor Jose and I, when we used to mentor young people before the Rona thing happened, we would mentor young people every Friday, Pastor Jose?
Yeah,
I remember
Friday
that.
nights.
Yeah, and we would just get them, and we just have just a time of mentorship, and over the years, Pastor Jose and myself, just mentoring young men. The fact of the matter is that I think that's what's needed in our society.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And specifically, and I go back to black. I go back to black. I know I look like my mama was African. It was dark as night. Yes, sir. I know I came out white. My daddy was European, a whole nother topic. But I say that, I just think overall that we have to put things, men have to stop being so busy and take out time to volunteer. Nobody wants to volunteer anymore.
Right, but let me add something you
Wow.
said in your story, Rick, and this is what I think is the biggest thing that's missed that you said in your story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, and I of course, you're right on the point with mentorship, is where it's at. But here is where the mentorship has to take the next level, as you shared in your story. Because you got some men that, sign me up. I'll set these youngsters straight because they just want somebody to listen to them.
Right.
But what was effective?
Right.
The young bull.
Yeah.
After he saw he couldn't buck and use his way with the older, bigger elephant, the wise one.
Yes, sir.
He watched him.
He watched him. That's it, sir.
Because you really want to see change, they need to see it modeled.
Yeah.
Right.
They need to see it out. Let me share. There was I won't call no names. Anyway, he probably wouldn't mind, but I just won't. There was a young man, not super younger than me, maybe 10 years or less, 10 or less. No, ain't no 10. No, he ain't 10 years younger than me. Maybe more like five
Okay.
years younger than me. But anyway, this is the point. God told me when I got to City Refuge specifically, take him under your wing, mentor him. Develop, like there's something, and God was like, I'm mentoring a whole lot of people, but specifically, take him under your wing. Like,
yeah.
And I did. Hang with me all the time, come over to the house, eat dinner with the family, serve under me in ministry, as an assistant, all of this stuff. I didn't know nothing about this young man's background. I knew not before. I knew he's from the South. I knew he's from Texas. I didn't know nothing about what he had been into. I had been mentoring him probably at least 2-3 years. I don't know how long before he opened up to me and told me about his homosexual past. He's never been with a woman. He had been, I didn't even know. And I think God purposefully kept me in the dark because I might not been at, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I'm in my circle. But he never, like, and the fact that showed how his masculinity, I had no idea.
No idea.
No idea. Here's the point I'm getting to. Later in life, I'm going to fast forward. It's a long story. Let me fast forward to the end because I'm not even going to go through no more. Let me go all the way to the end. Today, this young man has served as a youth pastor in another state.
Wow.
He has 4 beautiful children, married to a surgeon. Doing well. He's an awesome father, man. Just a father, a loving husband, a great male mentor to others. And one time, a while back, he told me, this was been years ago, he told me, he said, man, I never had this. You don't know how much and closely I watched how you interacted with your children, your wife, and you allow me to be there with your family. Like I watched you, I studied you, because before you, I never had another male mentor. And he grown when I met him.
Right.
But he's like, it wasn't me. He said, hey, sit down, listen.
Right.
But it was more of what he taught.
Right.
Yeah.
Through his and when it comes to people that want to be mentored, let me help you. All of you out there, because there's some brothers out there that's like, man, I want that. I don't know how to get it. Won't nobody take our time.
That's good.
Let me tell you what a mentor needs to do for you to learn. They don't need to set up meetings with you. They don't need to do. I mean, if you can get that, great. But a lot of times you won't. Because a lot of times he's so successful in what he do, because he putting a lot of time in what he do. And he don't have a lot of free time.
Right.
All he needs to give you is access to him. If he allows you to shadow him, he allows you to ask him a question if you have a question. He allows you opportunities to be in his space. Because through mentorship, it's more about what's caught, not just what's taught.
Yes, sir.
You gotta study. And I even take my father. I have been blessed and fortunate, and I realize I'm an exception to the rule. Unfortunately, it should be the rule. I've had my father in my life since I was born. He has never, ever been out of my life.
Right.
Even during the very brief stint when him and my mother called themselves separated, I was still with my daddy. Now, the point I'm making, my father wasn't the type of father, okay, Junior, let me teach you about finances. This is how you do. This is how you budget your money. That wasn't him. Okay, Junior, let me teach you about marriage. See, when you meet a woman, That wasn't him.
Right.
He didn't have that. Hey, boy, come on with me. Pass me that wrench. I said the 716. This ain't no 7. The point I'm making, I learned most of what I've learned through having him present to observe.
Yeah.
So it's natural for me.
Yeah. And they say that,
because I watch my mama. It's natural for me to not worry about who gonna pay the rent. I'm gonna pay the rent. Like it's natural for me to do things because that's the model.
That's good.
No, in saying that, go ahead.
I want to just jump back because I remember the story about the elephants, and that impressed upon me so much because for whatever reason, that area had decided to remove all the bulls, the older male elephants, from the group. They removed them, and I forgot which African country, but they had them in another place, right? And so when the young male elephants get to a certain age, it's almost like a rites of passage, they go nuts. It's normal what they do. It's adolescence. They go bat, you know what, crazy. But because there were no bulls there to knock them, literally knock them down. Like, we don't get down like that, bam, and snap them out of it, literally. That is the way that it works. They were going crazy. So then they had to go and get some of those bulls back and bring them there. So when they bucked up, they got knocked out.
That's how it was.
Knocked out.
Can somebody send me this story at some point?
I think
I'm the only one on here that I love this story. Please.
Great story.
It's good. It is good. Rick, go ahead.
Email it, airdrop it, just get it to me.
It's powerful.
Put it in a bottle, just give it.
Look at especially our young Black males. If there's no bull there, when you come of age and your hormones are raging, and you're taller and your feet are big and you eating up the refrigerator, you need someone there who's gone through it to say, chill, don't talk to your mother like that. Do the dishes, do your homework. Because I said so. How would you not be crazy? Fast forward, when you're out there dating, how do you know how to treat someone? There was no one there to snap your neck when you raised up on your mother.
How can you keep a job? How you keep a job? You never responded to authority. You're not used to authority.
That's the truth. And it should us real quick.
Go ahead, Rick.
On this panel, I'm the only one pretty much didn't grow up with my dad. And I saw the difference in young men's confidence in their achievements because they had their fathers in their life. And for a long time, I would envy that. I'm like, of course, have that bantering talk with God. Like, if my daddy was in my life, I would have this or I'll have that. But what it did for me, it made me reach out to the neighborhood father.
Come on.
Mr. Davis being an older gentleman, but he was a principal. He had a very disciplined man. And I would just learn how he interacted with his wife. He was hugged up with his wife every night. Busy man, had three boys. And I would be there every night watching him, how he treats his wife, take care of his wife. And I saw that. I said, that's what I want.
Come on, man.
Got older, I didn't know how to get it. So when I got saved and got back in church, I was able to mimic and watch men around me, how to be single, because there were men around me who were single, and they were pretty much men I gleaned from, and also married men. And going back to what you said, Pastor, having a mentor.
A
mentor in your life. If the church can't give it to you, the local club, pretty much a boys club, whatever that looks like. But you got, and I say this to women of God, please get them around some saved folk. Listen, I'm going to say it. Some folk who know and living straight lives. I'm preaching. I know. I get it. That's the truth. So I'm off my soapbox.
Hey, that's good, man. I know we ain't out of word.
Y'all, we did one letter. We didn't get to know. We didn't get to the other
We
two letters.
sure
We didn't
did.
get to the.
But it was so good.
This was so, and we still can go another 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because one thing we got like 3 shows just really that we can go and do. I'm serious. That we couldn't really tackle. One of them is really dealing with the male role models, and that in itself is a whole nother show.
Yeah.
In itself. So my gosh. We weren't even expecting none of this, but praise be to God. This is really, really good. We know it's gonna help somebody out there.
Yeah.
So final thoughts. I start you got
We're all like,
right? Everybody out of breath.
Well, I guess since we've done a lot of focusing on men and women and mentorship, I think it's important that we haven't talked about women understanding what that looks like when you never had a model of a wife.
Right.
You have a model of a mom. But don't think I'm a woman. I know. No, if you've never had a model of what a good wife looks like, I want to encourage you to seek that mentorship as well.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're praying for, key number 1, become it first. If you're praying for a great husband,
then good wife.
Yeah. And you need to have some access to a great wife.
Absolutely.
To become.
Come on.
Yeah.
God still works through other people. There is no Joshua without Moses.
Yes, sir.
Right.
There's no Elisha without Elijah.
Yeah.
There's no Mary without Elizabeth. So God has always worked through relationships. Thanks for joining ships.
Yes.
Those are all shows. Model of a good wife. We're going to do it, guys. A model of a good husband.
Yes.
That's really, really good. Okay, Neen. And then
let's see. Fortunately, I did have an amazing role model in my mom and other women around me. When I moved out here, though, I joined something at my church. It was a ministry discipleship group called Titus 2. All based on Titus 2 scripture. The older women will teach the younger women to be godly mothers, godly wives. Remember. And so Proverbs 31:10 became my benchmark. Yeah. I'm like, that's who I aspire to be.
Yeah, that's good.
So that I can be found.
Yeah.
I love it.
What we need, I think, is to get back to some of the things that used to be taught in school, like home ec. Right. Yeah. But let's call them life skills. And whether it's in school or we instituted in church, right? So our young people, regardless of what's working at home or not, they have life skills and not what I went through in high school. One of my projects was learn how to plan a wedding and the boys had to buy a car. Well, I'm like, if we're both getting married, why don't we both know how to plan a wedding? And I'm going to need a car too. Why don't I learn how to buy a car?
Buy a car.
Let's start something for our young people so they get life lessons for relationships during their single phase, when they get married, finance, health, estate planning, all that kind of stuff. It's not enough to make googly eyes at folks, right?
Right.
How do I set myself up for life?
That's good.
That's what
real good. That's real good. Okay, Pastor.
Yeah, without a doubt, this has been a topic that was not scripted, and not that anything
wasn't
scripted, but it wasn't on the agenda. Nope. And without a doubt, as we mentioned, mentorship. That's going to be the key word you want to leave with today. Mentorship. Yes. Who around you? Being, when we talk to singles, always tell them, write everything you want in a mate. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From what if he's 6'4", 6'5", pretty teeth, chocolate, big feet, whatever. The same with the woman. Whatever you want on them, write that down. And then you go to the attributes. You want them this way, a godly man and so forth, protector, whatever that looks like. God will start mimicking, literally, on paper, what you need to be as a wife or a husband. And that is, I think, that is the basis as far as what's needed to understand what type of man or a woman you want in your life. Because the mentorship comes into play, obviously, being around the Titus woman.
That's a group I'm part of. Yeah.
Very important. Very important. So I think that will really be a key point to helping singles, especially, to find, to be found and to find.
Yes.
Amen.
Oh, this has been so good. Wow. Thank you so much, guys. Like, subscribe. This has been so good. I got to even tell you guys to continue to like, subscribe to our page, Butterflies Entertainment on YouTube. The link will be in the description section. Please send in your letters. You see, we spent an entire hour on this young lady's letter. One letter just led into some other things. It was so good.
Yes.
Please send us your letters at butterfliesentertainment at gmail.com. And of course, Zondra S. Wilson at yahoo.com. And of course, if we get it and you don't hear from us, typically we'll try to send some type of email to let you know we got it. Send it again. Hit me up again. We want to get them in. We want to read them. We're going to have surprises. So, guys, this is again.
Love it.
Catch us every other Tuesday. And, of course, we love to hear your feedback. Okay? Until next time. See you on.
We out.
Bye, everybody.